on to your butts. It's the franchise. I'm your host, Daniel Ehrenberg.
And I'm your host, Henry Papali. Welcome, folks, to episode 77.
Henry, you've developed a nice hosting voice over the years.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Really? It's like, it's more hosty?
I think so.
More accommodating?
I think it probably happens, right? Over time.
Yeah,
if you
maybe.
look at early Family Feud, maybe Richard Dawson speaks more like himself.
So you're saying now I'm more like Steve Harvey? Is that what it is? I've progressed to like a Steve Harvey type
or that one guy that killed himself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
I'm aiming for a Chuck Woolery, but I don't know if I'm there yet. Probably a couple more years.
Yeah. God, we've really brought it down. We've talked about that guy that killed himself and Nazi sympathizer Chuck Woolery.
I didn't know that. He was a Nazi sympathizer. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So he has a little love connection with Hitler. I never knew that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Let's bring in our guest, Henry. I've been a fan of this fellow for a long time. I've heard him on various sundry podcasts, including Rob has a podcast, and the Survivor Historians podcast, and the Real Weird Sisters. He can, in the plugs later, do a list of the many, many shows he's currently working on. But here he is, talking this week. That's right, gang. Welcome to Jurassic Park. The great Mike Bloom.
You podcasters were so preoccupied with whether or not you could have guests on your podcast that you didn't think about whether you should have people on your podcast.
Oh, I see what you did there. It's a JG
would have been better
line.
if I threw a phone like in there. Maybe the impression would have helped a bit more.
Yeah. I like that. You can do an impression. I've heard you bust one out now and again.
One out of maybe literally 65 million
really?
People that I talk about. I could maybe do an impression.
What is it?
Well, I had a Bill Cosby in my back pocket several years ago before that became a whole can of worms.
Let's hear it.
No, oh boy. All right, let me just
talk about pudding pops and
I was gonna say, let me put this out front that I obviously do not condone his actions whatsoever. He has done some absolutely horrible things. That being said, we're gonna talk about Jurassic Park with the dinos and Dr. Grant.
I love it. I condone that that impression.
Good.
Yes, of course. I've done many impressions on the show,
yes.
Right, Henry, including Paul Giamatti.
Oh,
right?
that's in my top 5 of yours. Yeah.
Listen, don't fuck with me, man. I'm just a fat piece of shit.
Yeah, that's it.
That's good.
That's it. That's
on.
That's my impression.
Spot on.
Thank you.
Spot on.
Jurassic Park. Let's talk about it. Mike, you chose these movies. Well, you gave us like a laundry list, and we chose these movies. But do these films hold a special meaning for you?
I mean, of the two, growing up as a kid in the 90s, I was born in 1989. My first exposure to the Jurassic Park franchise was in the latter film we're going to talk about, The Lost World. So I was very confused as to the continuity of everything and exactly what the logic was. I only went back to watch the original Jurassic Park some years after, once I was of an age where I understood most of what was going on. But I felt this was a good balance because, A, it is a blockbuster franchise that has had a comeback in the past couple of years. And I'm sure we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about that as well, I'm sure, about the similarities specifically between the OG Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, which is sort of now its own separate trilogy from the initial ones. But that being said, I also love bad movies to death. And so I want to find an ability to, let's talk about a landmark franchise with a film I really enjoy, in addition to a film in the same franchise that I really don't enjoy, but really enjoy due to the fact that I don't enjoy it, if that makes sense. So I found a happy medium with these dinosaurs.
It makes plenty of sense. But, bad movies that you enjoy, I have a lot of love for because I feel like you genuinely just enjoy them. There has to be something to be said for that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, The Room is unironically one of my favorite films of all time, just because, I don't know, as someone who loves the nerdy minutia between filmmaking sometimes, you look at movies like that and you're like, it is insane how someone can be met at a juncture, stop at a traffic light for every major decision you make as a filmmaker over the course of your filmmaking career, and you make the complete wrong turn each and every time. The GPS is saying, nope, you shouldn't make that decision, make a right, and you just go left every single time you stop at that light. And as a result, you get movies like The Room, where you look at it and you say, how the hell, to coin another movie podcast, did this get made? And it's things like that that endlessly fascinate me and keep me wildly entertained for years to come.
And there are plenty of bad movies that are just boring to watch.
Yeah.
But
yes,
things...
We've covered quite a few.
we have, like Home Alone 3. But there's things like The Room. I've been watching that movie a couple times a year for probably like 12 years now. And,
wow.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I saw it at a room party, and then I saw it another time. I think I've seen it 3 full times.
No,
but
I was an early
time.
adopter, and I've kept going. Yeah. I read the Greg Sestero book, and I'm excited for the new movie. And that some movies like that are just endlessly fascinating to me, and so I love them unironically. You know, Henry, we talked about that on our Weekend at Bernie's coverage.
That's correct.
Yeah,
which I found unwatchable and not entertaining in any way, in a bad movie way. But yeah,
I loved every second of it.
You loved every second.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to scratch my eyes out. Yeah.
Get out of here, man! You're such a downer. You're a real Jonathan Silverman, man.
Yeah, you're the Andrew McCarthy.
That's right.
In that one. Yeah.
That's all I try. I try to bring the Andrew McCarthy vibe out into my everyday activities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, yeah, Weekend at Bernie's just didn't work for me as that type of movie you guys are discussing. Plenty of other things. I think probably in the horror genre in general, and in the horror genres.
Well, we had a great time with Friday the 13th.
We had a great time with that.
But those Halloween movies were boring.
Yeah, yeah, and but I also had a great time with even the least entertaining Resident Evil movie. I still really had a good time, even the bad one.
Well, those are legit great.
So that being said, though, then are the worst movies not even the ones that are made badly, but the ones that bore? Because I mean, this boils down to the essential onus of a movie, which is to entertain. Whether a movie is good or bad, if it does not entertain you, I guess it's therefore not fulfilling its purpose.
I think a lot of film is about watchability. That's the most important thing to me. And if I can't get through your movie, it's not watchable. Hey man, I was just watching The Punisher. I'm bored.
And I'm not at all. Wasn't at all. I finished it. Yeah.
I'd rather watch Weekend at Bernie's 2 again.
I bet you would. Really? The second one?
Yeah. Yeah, the one where he's a zombie.
I smell a crossover where Punisher has to fight a villain that can only be resuscitated via a boombox playing.
Oh, I love it. I love that idea. I mean, we've come close. There was Frankencastle a few years back with Frankenstein's monster Punisher. And what else? He fought Archie once. Remember that?
Now, was this like OG Archie or like dark and tortured Archie that inspired Riverdale?
It's OG Archie. It's not like. I mean, there's no dark and tortured Archie until Riverdale, right? Like I've read.
Wasn't there? There was like a zombie. I'm not a huge comics person, but I believe there was like a zombie apocalypse Archie take, right?
There
or something
was,
like that?
Yeah. It was called like Afterlife with Archie or something.
Mm-hmm.
I never read it. Gang, you tweet at us about that Archie comic. All right, let's talk about it. Jurassic Park, directed by Steven Spielberg. We've already covered a lot of the people involved in this movie, which is good. We can gloss over it a little bit. What's your take on Spielberg, Mike?
I mean, he's probably one of my favorite directors, just because I do feel like he's probably one of the most versatile directors out there. I mean, even compare this with Schindler's List, which he did the very same year, and you just get a sense of the eye that he has from filmmaking. And I mean, he's created some of the stuff that I've enjoyed the most from both a nostalgic perspective and a film perspective. So I mean, you can go wrong sometimes with Spielberg. I think, again, the second film that we're going to talk about might stray a little bit in that direction.
Well,
but
it's funny because, like, we'll talk about 93, where he did Jurassic Park and Schindler's List, and then we'll talk about 97, where he did The Lost World and Amistad. It's just like a shittier version of that earlier year.
Yeah.
But, I mean, look, he's great. We've talked about him. I love him. We covered Jaws on the podcast. My second favorite film of all time.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. And we covered him again with Indiana Jones
and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, another classic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was. Yeah, you finished my sentence. I was obviously talking about that.
Yeah. So he's in the director's chair here. He bought the rights from Michael Crichton, the novelist, for $1.5 million.
Ooh.
Every studio bid for the rights to this novel because it was time for dinosaurs. Everyone sensed it. Dino time.
Yeah.
And I believe Warner Brothers had Tim Burton fighting for those rights. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, I read that.
Johnny Depp as Alan Grant would be horrible.
It's basically like Sleepy Hollow, right? He's a little Alan Granty in that movie.
Yeah, and he would have had to wear like makeup and shit. It would have been really bizarre.
Yeah, his hat would have been asymmetrical.
Yeah.
Richard Donner was another name that was thrown out to direct this.
Oh, I didn't know that. I could see that being interesting him.
Yeah, I guess he didn't get it, so he was like, I guess I'll do Lethal Weapon 3. And the other one was Joe Dante.
Oh, yeah, him and Spielberg go back a ways. I think they're buds.
Yeah. Didn't Spielberg produce Gremlins?
I want to say he did.
I think so, but you're right, but I was thinking that they both worked on Twilight Zone the movie as well together. So.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Joe Dante was one of those guys in the 80s that, like, was supposed to be a big deal, and then it didn't turn out so great, right?
You know, that's kind of funny that you said that, because when you think about it, I think Joe Dante could have had sort of a George Miller type career if things would have went better for him, because he's definitely a talent. You know, I don't know I don't really know his story, but
I think he worked really well with puppets, and then like movies stopped doing puppets.
Yeah, but he kept on the trail. Remember, he made that Small Soldiers movie where the action figures came to life like 3 years after Toy Story did that.
You have no idea how recently we talked about Small Soldiers on this podcast.
Yes, we did.
It came up, man. I was a Phil Hartman fan. I saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
What else? Crichton also wrote a draft of the screenplay, and it was rewritten by David Koepp. We also covered Michael Crichton at one point, right? Didn't we do
it? Did we?
Yeah, did you guys do Westworld and Future World?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's
I
right.
forgot he did that.
That was the week I was in the mental ward of the hospital. I just got announced. All right. Yeah, Michael Crichton. I talked about it at the time. I read a lot of Michael Crichton as a kid in the 90s because there were a lot of movies coming out based on his book. So I read Jurassic Park and The Lost World and Congo and Rising Sun and the Andromeda Strain, all of those.
That's right. Yeah.
He's a guy I don't like a lot as a guy. And his writing isn't even that good, but he's got like good punchy ideas that you could turn into a movie.
Yeah. And we've also please keep going on him for a minute if you want. I was gonna tell you something about the cinematographer of the movie too while we're going through the credits.
Oh, Dean Cundey.
I'm sure Crichton will come up again.
Sure, Crichton. I will say. I used to be a fan, and I got mad. He like tried to get his name taken off of Rising Sun because they cast Wesley Snipes, and he didn't want the character to be black.
Oh,
yeah,
very nice. Very nice.
That was kind of my last straw with Michael Crichton.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Jesus, I didn't realize that character was such an indelible character in book lore, movie lore, that he had to be cast exactly as he was written. Jesus.
Yeah. Rising Sun. It's very important.
Yeah, well, we've covered Dean Cundey before, and when we get to the movie in full, I definitely want to talk about how it looks. But
yes,
he did Halloween. He did Halloween 2, Escape from New York, The Thing. So he's a Carpenter guy.
I thought you were saying the subtitle of Halloween 2 was Escape from New York.
Halloween 2. I thought it was Halloween 2, The Thing, Escape from New York. Talk about a mashup.
I would love it. I would love every second of that.
Back to the Future, Big Trouble in Little China. This guy's got a hell of a resume. So this is a very talented cinematographer. He's also got a lot of shit, but the ones he's done outweigh the quality of the good ones surely outweighs the quantity.
Yeah.
Hey, you leave Flubber and Kippendorf's Tribe alone.
Oh man, he did Krippendorf's Tribe.
Oh yeah,
that movie's more racist than Michael Crichton.
It was like the original found footage film.
Yeah, oh, that's right. He's filming a documentary of that.
Oh Lord, is that that's with Dreyfuss, right?
Yeah, Richard Dreyfuss, in which he's married to Jenna Elfman. What a couple.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Let's talk about the cast a little bit, because it's kind of a weird cast for a big budget action movie, Steven Spielberg film. Apparently, Alan Grant, the Sam Neill character, was originally offered to William Hurt and Harrison Ford. Both turned it down. But Sam Neill brings an interesting energy to it, and he's not the most charismatic dude in the world, but he's got that weird New Zealand accent that he's trying to hide. It makes his voice kind of interesting. And,
he was, not to spoil anything, but he was a surprise to me in this movie.
So he's your MVP?
No.
Okay.
No, quite the opposite.
Interesting.
Yeah, but continue. We'll get to all that because we still got to do box office and all that stuff.
Yeah, and check out who was chosen over Jeff Goldblum in this movie. Kind of the beginning of the first Goldblum-assance. I think we're in the second one now.
Right.
And he auditioned against a young Jim Carrey.
Yes, I read that. I read that.
What a weird energy he would have brought.
I just watched that Netflix thing, Jim and Andy.
How was it?
Oh, it was very good. Jim Carrey is quite the personality. I didn't quite realize the eccentricity of his demeanor.
I mean, all I can imagine, because this was like, the Carey boom was like him playing Ian Malcolm, like him playing the Riddler in Batman Forever, and that just does not stick to me.
Right.
Yeah, man. When that dinosaur eats the lawyer off of the toilet, him just lying there saying, "Do not go in there."
Yeah. It's a little backed up.
Oh boy, Jim Carrey, man. Can I make a prediction, Henry? Jim Carrey.
Oh God.
Oh no, really? You think so?
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
He's too weird. I can't even see that happening.
I
but
think
hey,
he's just weird enough.
All bets are off now, so sure.
Jurassic Park had a budget of $63 million, which is so low. I mean, it was high at the time, but it's crazy to think about today. Remember when Titanic cost $200 million and everyone lost their minds?
Yeah, and that was only 5 years later, or 4 years later.
No,
yeah.
but now, everything costs $200 million.
Oh, yeah, well,
Blade Runner 2, which I could have told you no one wanted to see, cost $200 million. Don't get mad at me, Henry.
I'm not. You already told people that no one wanted to see it. So
yeah, I was right. Budget of $63 million, a box office of $1.029 billion.
Jesus.
It's a bit of a hit.
Astonishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the number one film of 1993.
Yeah. No surprise there.
I have here, Henry, the top 10 highest grossing movies of 1993. Mike, I would like you to join in. Can you guess any of the films that were the most watched movies of 1993?
Ooh.
I was 4
4
years old. Yeah.
So, I mean, what the movies that I was enjoying at the time might be a little different. I feel like
The Teletubbies? I don't know if they had.
Yeah, I was gonna say
It wasn't Teletubbies yet, man.
And this might spoil my top 10 list a bit for '93, but I feel like '93 was a good year for comedy. I want to say that I believe Mrs. Doubtfire was like, in addition to being critically acclaimed, was also like a very popular film box office wise. So that's gonna be my guess.
Mike Bloom, Mrs. Doubtfire, number 2, right behind Jurassic Park.
Oh
Could
my
you believe
God.
it?
Well done. Hit it out of the park.
That's
Wait,
a
when
great.
the feud. Speaking of the feud hosts,
Yeah, it's true.
I'm gonna say it has to. One of the ones on the top 10 has to be The Fugitive.
That's number 3. Guys, you're going in order. I love this.
Wow.
wow.
That might be all I got. I don't know.
I want to say, like, what about The Nightmare Before Christmas? I can't remember if that made a lot of money, but I feel like it could have been like enough of a darling to break that top 10.
It made money, did not break the top 10.
Aw.
Nothing
Sorry,
on my
buddy.
list. Nothing on my top 10 would have made the top 10 box office. So I'd be shooting. You want to give us some clues there, Danny?
All right, number 2, guys. It's got a guy climbing a mountain.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Number 9, guys. It's got some Nazis.
Oh,
Schindler's
Schindler's
List?
List?
Yeah. Number 8, one of the most boring movies I've ever seen in theaters. It's got one of my favorite actors of all time in it, and it's a lawyer film.
Are you talking about Philadelphia?
No, that's a
I
great
know what it
movie,
is.
but you
I
got
know
the
what
right
it is.
actor.
I know what it is. Yeah,
What?
I saw it in theaters too. The Pelican Brief.
The Pelican Brief, of course. Number 7, we've got a Clint joint. We've got John Malkovich being a weirdo.
In the Line of Fire.
Yeah, that's it. Number 6, somebody saw Basic Instinct, so let's make another movie.
Ooh.
93.
I'm thinking of it.
Body of Evidence.
Indecent Proposal.
Oh.
Yeah.
We've done this year too before, so I don't have much.
Well,
of an
I think
excuse.
we did it when we did The Fugitive. Like that
Okay.
was like a year and a
long
half ago.
time.
Yeah.
a long.
Number 5. Hey, gang, I'll meet you right at the top of the Empire State Building.
Sleepless in Seattle.
Is that one of your flawless impressions?
What was I trying to do? Tom Hanks?
Yep, that was a good Tom Hanks.
That was my Meg
Casual
Ryan,
Tom Hanks.
unfortunately. I don't know. And my number 4, well, not my number 4, the number 4 movie. Hey, one Scientologist was at the top of his game in 1993.
The Firm.
That's correct. Okay.
You got 2 John Grisham books in there.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I read The Firm, too.
So did I.
Everyone loved
I did-
Michael Crichton and John Grisham in the 1990s. It was a different time.
Huge. They were
Well,
huge.
they're very similar in their appeal.
Well, their movie. You know what? What's weird is like kind of like the modern day equivalent of that is like Mark Millar, who writes comics that are easily adaptable for film.
See, I would say almost the equivalent in the 2000s is like Dan Brown and Robert Ludlum, who wrote the Jason Bourne novels. Like the Jason Bourne novels,
the thing about those though are they're all franchises. Like Ludlum only has Bourne, and Dan Brown only has Robert Langdon.
you know,
Oh,
the Langdon
Lord.
series.
Yep.
Yep. That's gonna be fun to cover.
It's true. I've only seen one of them, the Da Vinci Code.
Never seen any of them.
It was boring,
Yo,
but
boy.
I did get a hand job in the movie theater.
During the Da Vinci Code,
During
did you
the Da
unlock
Vinci
something?
Code. Oh man, yeah, I unlocked my belt. Hey mom. Okay.
But yeah, I'm excited for you guys to get to Angels and Demons, where they made a sequel that was supposed to be a prequel that they retrofitted to make a sequel.
Oh, they did do that? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Angels and Demons was the first one in the franchise chronologically, but because the Da Vinci Code was such a big hit as a book, they decided to make that the first one. And they were like, oh, Robert Langdon's back, even though this canonically takes place before anything.
Dan Brown.
I'll allow it.
Wow.
Are those? Have you seen? How many of those have you seen, Mike?
I've seen 2. I haven't seen The Lost Symbol, which I think came out
Lost
last year?
Symbol? No, Inferno.
Oh, Inferno. Lost Symbol is the 4th book that has yet to be adapted and probably never will, considering how much Inferno tanked.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Inferno didn't do well, huh? Man, that Ron Howard can't buy a hit anymore.
Nope, he has to get offered one when they fire the director.
Oh, that's right. He's doing fucking Han Solo.
I didn't know that, is he?
Yeah, Lord and Miller got released from the film, unfortunately. I love those two as filmmakers, and Ron Howard has stepped up.
They were like, we need someone who doesn't have a style. Ron? All right. This was also a movie that did quite well with the people, with the critics, you know? It was nominated for 3 Oscars. Sound editing, sound mixing, and visual effects. It won all of them. Guys, it was nominated for an MTV Movie Award for Best Villain, the T-Rex. And I think that's unfair to the T-Rex. He's an animal. He's just doing what he does. The true villain of this piece is John Hammond, I'd say, or perhaps Dennis Nedry.
Yeah, isn't this is like they gave Jaws, no? The villain AFI gave Jaws, one of the best villains.
Speaking of AFI, Henry.
Oh, no, really?
Let's hear that AFI theme song.
All right, hold on, Mike. I don't know if you've heard this before. I have to cue up the theme song I paid a lot of money for.
I have not.
All right, hang on. Do you want the laid back one or the real hyper one?
Laid back, please.
Okay. AFI.
That's right, it's time for your AFI update. The American Film Institute put Jurassic Park on one list. It's the number 35 most thrilling film of all time. Let's hear that theme one more time.
AFI.
All right, that was the AFI update. How about that? You a fan of the American Film Institute, Mike?
I liked. I got into AFI when they were doing those like countdown specials that they would do occasionally on like Bravo.
I remember
That's
those.
what we love.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Number 35 most thrilling, Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
When they did the first one in 1998, I watched all 100.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm. So that's
Did
how
you
I've
just-
seen movies like Yankee Doodle Dandy.
That's great. I thought for a second you were going to say when they did the list, you went to the specific part they might have been talking about. So if you watched like a thrill list, you were like, I'm going to watch that thrill of those 100 movies. I'm going to find the spot they're talking about.
That's a good way to save time. It removes any context or stakes completely, but at least if you need to cut down to watch this is a pre-YouTube age where I'm sure there's now a cut online of like the 100 most thrilling scenes in film according to AFI.
Absolutely.
There have to be so many people out there that have never seen Psycho but know the shower scene backwards and forwards.
Of course there are. Gus Van Sant's Psycho.
Exactly. He hammered it in everyone's heads because he made it the exact same shot over again, so people remember it.
Yeah, man. I love that movie. It adds everything that was missing from the original: jerking off and a cow in the middle of the road.
Oh,
and
Lord.
Vince Vaughn, who will also make an appearance on this podcast as well.
He will.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, I forgot he was in The Lost World, and I had a real chuckle when I saw him.
Yeah.
Oh no, I love the fact that the motley crew to go to the island in the second movie is Jeff Goldblum, Julianne Moore, Vince Vaughn, and Toby from The West Wing.
I know. It is odd. It's like, get me Toby from The West Wing, but you better have him shave that beard.
You can only be serious with a beard.
Yes, he must look more pathetic, please. All right, guys, let's go through our top 10 movies of 1993.
All right, Mike, as the guest of honor, and I will say, I just realized probably our premiere of the youngest guest we've had.
Woo!
Right? Yeah. I didn't know how young you were, Mike. You have it's like Christian was saying about me last week, like you have a good grasp of pop culture history. So
Thank
it's
you.
hard
I don't have a
gauge.
grasp of literally anything else in the world, so pop culture's the thing. I'm gonna hang to that cliff, much like the man did in one of the top 10 films of 1993.
That's right.
But not in my top 10 films of 1993. So, I mean, I guess the purpose of these lists are to be extremely eclectic and suited to your own taste. So mine are going to be affiliated with a lot of comedies. There are a few dramas in there, but many comedies that are near and dear to my heart. So my number 10, not my favorite Mel Brooks movie, but I'll still put it up there. Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Wow.
See.
Okay.
You see,
All right.
he shoots 4 arrows. That's why it's funny.
Listen, it has a young Dave Chappelle in it. You can't go wrong.
That has Dave Chappelle in it?
Yeah, he plays that Chew.
I gotta tell you, I haven't seen that movie since theaters.
Yeah, me neither.
And I was like 7 years old. So it was
I have
prime time for me to enjoy Robin Hood Men in Tights. I will say my opinion on Robin Hood Men in Tights coincides with my theory. There are no good Robin Hood movies ever in the history of film.
This might be the best one, and that's saying something.
I think you're probably right. It's that or he's a fox.
Yeah, the Disney one.
Yeah.
Right, it's true.
Henry, what's your 10?
My number 10 is True Romance.
That's too low. I have it too low also, though, so I won't give you too much shit.
I was going to say.
Okay.
My number 10 is My Neighbor Totoro.
Oh, the Studio Ghibli.
That's right.
Lord have mercy.
Get out of here.
Okay. Number 9, Mike?
My number 9 is going to be from a young Richard Linklater, Dazed and Confused.
Oh, well, we know that's going to be...
Yep, that's on my list. That's on my list. All right.
Number 9 for me, Tombstone.
Yeah, you love that.
I do.
If it's got a 6-ton hat, what do you call those?
10-gallon hat?
A 10-gallon hat.
6-ton hat. Look at this.
It's a heavy-ass hat. I don't know what point you're trying to prove.
Man.
You got net problems up the wazoo.
I love the pop culture that you're literate on it, and then you say 6-ton hat. That is beautiful. I love the timing on that. That's great.
My number 9 is Whose Way? That's right, Carlitos.
All I remember about Carlito's Way is in the Judd Apatow Netflix series Love, which I love and hate at the same time. Paul Russ's character likes to bring his friends over to like sing theme songs to movies.
Yeah.
The theme songs don't exist, and they sang a song to Carlito's Way.
I don't remember that, but I only love that show. No hate. You have a little bit of a Paul Rust vibe, Mike.
I've gotten that a lot, so that's why I love the show because it's probably the closest I'll ever get to being on the screen. At the same time, I do feel like, not to go on too much of a tangent, I feel like it has the best and worst qualities of the Apatovian environment in that the characters are inherently unlikable, which again has its good and bad parts, but it also runs very long sometimes. So I'll put it on when I'm in a certain mood. I'll really enjoy it, but other times I'll be like, "Well, you're all fucking horrible people. Just get out of each other's sight. You're horrible for each other."
Yeah, I relate to it a lot. I don't know what that says about me. Henry, did you say number 9? Oh, Tombstone, of course, 10-ton hat. What's your number 8, Mike?
I'm going with the aforementioned Philadelphia.
That's not on my list, which is weird.
It's not on mine either. It's not on mine either. I don't know why that is.
I love me some Tom Hanks. Him, Denzel Washington, very grounded material.
Sure.
I don't put too many dramas on like my top list. I enjoy comedies more so than dramas, but this one is definitely a good one.
The streets of Philadelphia.
There's another one of your impressions.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can I get a real quick Bruce Springsteen version of "Going the Distance"?
What do I do that?
What's going
the
now
distance?
From Rocky IV.
I don't remember how that goes.
Oh,
I'm
man.
sorry.
What
What's number 8?
He can go the distance. No recollection at all.
I remember when it happens, he's like climbing up a mountain in the Arctic.
Yeah.
And he yells, "Drago!"
That's right. All right. Well, I'll try next time. I'll get you. All right. Number 8, Manhattan Murder Mystery.
Ooh, problematic. Okay.
Really?
Well, Woody Allen. I'm just
I
saying.
think it's one. Obviously.
I know. I love that movie too. It's not on my list though. My number 8 is True Romance.
Okay.
Yep. Number 7, Mike.
Give me Schindler's List.
Dude, I'll always give you Schindler's List. What's yours, Hank?
Groundhog Day.
It's great. Not on my list.
Really?
Too low for me, but
it's going to be number 1 on yours. Can I make a prediction? My number 7 is A Bronx Tale, starring that guy who's in jail now.
Who's that? The kid or Chaz Palminteri?
No, that kid, Calogio. He didn't he murder someone?
Oh, really? I don't know. I didn't follow him. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 6, Mike.
Even though I am not a sports person, this one does hit me for some reason. I'm going with The Sandlot.
The Sandlot's a fine choice. I think that's our millennial generation, Mike. I don't see Henry appreciating The Sandlot.
Yeah, it's definitely something that's more of a pastiche of my generation. The only 90s kids will remember this list often includes moments from The Sandlot, so I'm just speaking on behalf of my generation.
That's sure. My generation. It's a good one. What's number 6, Hank?
My number 6 is In the Name of the Father.
Ooh, serious.
And we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about that actor in a little bit. One of those actors.
Daniel Day-Lewis?
Pete Postlethwaite.
Oh yeah, right. Pete Postlethwaite, the late great Postlethwaite. Love it. My number 5.
He loves his own joke.
Yeah. My number 6 actually is Mike Leigh's Naked.
Yes.
All right, number 5.
Number 5 for me, again, it's going to be a little bit of out of left field. This is actually one of my favorite sequels of all time. It's very underrated in my opinion. I'm going with Addams Family Values.
Listen to
God.
You. Hey, I like that movie. It's got all the summer camp stuff.
Yeah, and listen, we just celebrated Thanksgiving, and I feel like it's always something that my wife and I like to quote is the Thanksgiving play that they do before Wednesday Addams comes in and talks about the white man pillaging the Native Americans and burning them alive. It's such a fun sequel, and I feel like both the Addams Family movies, they have so many great one-liners in them.
You know, you're right. Henry, we got to cover those.
Oh.
Why don't you like those? Those are legit good movies.
Not to me. I might have been an age thing. I mean, I haven't seen them since I saw them. I think I saw them both in the theater. But,
I bet you'd appreciate it more now.
Maybe I would. I don't know. Yeah,
Raul Julia and
Angelica Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My number 5. Oh, Henry, what's your number 5?
California.
Oh, with a K. All right.
Yeah.
My number 5 is Jurassic Park.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Number 4.
My number 4, since I'm going to speak to my age a little bit here, I didn't see this movie when it came out in the theaters because even for a quote-unquote Disney film, it looked a little too spooky, but I'm going to go with The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that a Disney film?
It is, yeah.
Man, they were trying something, I guess.
Well, this is in the middle of the Disney Renaissance, right? So they were pretty cocky about themselves. They're yeah, we can try this out. And again, I don't know how well it did, but it definitely, it stuck out for a while against all the other Disney movies before Disney started buying all these random properties. And now Jack Skellington's in there with Iron Man and Luke Skywalker.
Disney is I think they're gonna turn into Skynet.
Yeah,
I think Disney's gonna run the world eventually. They've got it all. All right, number 4, Henry.
Carlito's Way.
All right, mine is In the Name of the Father. What's your number 3?
Wow,
Mike?
higher than me.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Mm-hmm. You're the father now. My number 3 is even though Hank put it a little too low for my taste, I'm putting Groundhog Day right here.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so it's not your number 1. All right.
Yeah, good placement.
Henry?
My number 3 is A Bronx Tale.
Interesting. My number 3 is Shortcuts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Altman.
Yeah, man. Hey, Lost World star Julianne Moore, if you ever wanted to see her pubic hair, watch that movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike, the most ringing endorsement I've ever heard. Number 2, short and sweet, Jurassic Park.
Love it. Henry?
Number 2, The Fugitive.
Oh, so high.
All right.
Mine is Schindler's List.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. And number 1.
Number 1 movie of 1993, Mike Bloom.
I'm such a comedy guy, and the person who I was inspired with when I was a goofy little kid growing up watching films was Robin Williams. I had to go with Mrs. Doubtfire here.
Mrs. Doubtfire at number 1. A fine, tender film about a transgender woman.
A transgender Irish woman, thank you very much.
Transgender Irish woman just trying to take care of her kids.
That's all.
Mm-hmm. Pre-op, as Mara Wilson found out in the bathroom.
Right.
Yeah.
My number 1 of 1993, similar vibe to it, Schindler's List.
Oh, yeah. Really, they go part and parcel.
I think so.
Yeah. And my number 1, Dazed and Confused.
All right. Yep.
Yeah. 3 different ones. Look at that.
Love it. All right. Let's talk about the movie. We open on some kind of operation. There's some velociraptors and I honestly never needed this opening. I'm not a fan of it. I say start the movie at the dig.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
But you missed out on the melodramatic shooter.
And
I do like that because Muldoon is one of the MVPs of this movie. What a badass!
Plus, one of the best named characters in franchise history. Just in the next movie you have like Ludlow and Roland, but here you have Muldoon. Just such a fun name to say.
It's great, Muldoon, and you need one of these in every movie. I say before every Jurassic Park movie starts, the screenwriter has to come up with this movie's Muldoon. You need a Muldoon in Jurassic Park. And I think they got it right in Jurassic World, where they just kind of made the Muldoon the star of the movie.
Oh, so you're talking about, is that so Chris Pratt is the Muldoon character in that way?
Pratt's a little bit Muldoonish.
See, I thought you were talking about D'Onofrio for a second.
I forgot he's in that. I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah, man.
He's the, like, again, if we question who's the antagonist, is it the dinosaurs or is it the humans? If we're going with the human side, I believe he's the antagonist.
D'Onofrio?
Yeah, because he's like, it doesn't even want to like militarize them and weaponize them.
That's right. Yeah,
we don't know.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, we're not gonna know till next episode.
That's right. Next week we'll rewatch Jurassic World.
Good luck.
Thank you. All right, so we're introduced to Sam Neill and Laura Dern. I guess Steven Spielberg watched some David Lynch movies in the 80s.
That was exactly my thought.
Yeah, real big Blue Velvet fan.
I can see it. He's got a dark side.
Wild at heart. Yeah.
I don't know. And, they're together, but Sam Neill doesn't want kids, and Laura Dern does, because Spielberg's got to have that subplot in every movie he's ever made.
I mean, I don't understand why Grant's so good with kids. Like, when he makes that kid, like, piss his pants by scaring him with a raptor claw.
That kid's still working today. I see that kid and stuff, and I'm like, hey, it's that kid who pissed his pants. Yeah, that is a fun scene, and then evil Hammond shows up in his helicopter. Now I keep saying evil because I read the book, and he's super evil in the book.
I read about that. Yeah,
but he's so. I mean, at least the way Richard Attenborough is playing him, he's so freaking jolly. And I know he's supposed to be described as like an evil Walt Disney, but that almost makes me. I mean, I love this movie for so many reasons, but one of them is with your antagonist. I feel like one of the fundamental things you need to do as sort of a writer is establish why your antagonist does what he does, even if it's for like semi-unrealistic reasons. And you have it here where he's so driven by what he wants to do that he has his blinders up completely. And even though you have these people shouting protestations at him of like, there's so many reasons why you shouldn't do this, he's so concerned with just sticking to the plan that he ends up making everything go wrong as a result.
Well, I think for me too, that was one of the problems with the movie is that I never considered Attenborough the antagonist, and I think it's mainly also because of the casting. because you get Richard Attenborough in there, and it's just not. He's not that way, and he's not that type of actor. So you almost when you meet the lawyer, and then you get Wayne Knight in there, and you got like 3 different antagonists going at the same time. So I mean, really, the kindly old man thing is really all I got out of him. So
yeah,
I was
he's the kindliest evil billionaire in the history of film.
Well, he really is. Yeah, I mean, I was surprised to read afterwards.
I read reading the book, Spielberg related to the Hammond character and asked the screenwriters to make him nicer.
Well, yeah, because I think, creating a park, it seems like it's almost like creating a movie somewhat. It's working on a similar project. And I think it also makes sense that Spielberg cast a fellow director in Richard Attenborough, who I actually believe beat Spielberg out for the Best Director Oscar like 10 years before that as the character.
Gandhi and Color Purple, right?
No.
I don't know. It was Gandhi and, this is going to drive me crazy. But it was another. No. I'm trying to remember.
Right? I'm
1941.
But yeah, I feel like, but that was his point though, is that I feel like he wanted to, maybe it's because he didn't want to necessarily go with someone who was so over the top antagonistic, which I think we get loads of in the second movie. But that's what I personally enjoy. I can totally see where you're coming from, Hank, but I appreciate the fact that all these characters are a little more 3-dimensional. With maybe one exception, I would actually say that the character that they chose to keep over from the first movie to the second movie, Ian Malcolm, is pretty 2-dimensional, but that's sort of the point, and that's why we love him in this first movie.
In the first movie, the character of Malcolm is just basically, hey, Jeff Goldblum, you add your weird vibe to this movie. And I'm kind of down with that, but he isn't much of a character.
I'm totally down with it, and when he gets sidelined, I think that's a big mistake.
There's really not a lot of Jeff Goldblum in this movie.
No, we should point this out. I think all 3 of us. Now, you guys, I'm pretty positive, right? Have seen this movie many times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I should say that Jurassic Park, I saw it in theaters, and it was incredibly important to my development as a moviegoer.
Right.
It was the first film where I really noticed who the director is. And so following Jurassic Park, that was when I watched like Jaws and E.T. and Raiders for the first time because I wanted to know more about Steven Spielberg.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so, like, I didn't know anything about filmmakers before I saw Jurassic Park. I was 7 years old when this came out, and so this was kind of a big deal movie for me.
What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, this was a movie that, for me, again, I saw The Lost World first, but both of these movies kind of opened my eyes up to, for lack of a better term, movie magic. We're going to talk about the scene, I'm sure, coming up when they first actually go into the park, and, seeing dinosaurs there, because CGI was sort of a temperamental movie method at that time, and even animatronics were a little sparse. I just sort of had not thought about this idea of, hey, movies can allow the things that you imagine to come alive on the screen. So it's movies like this that made me really think about like the possibilities of film, and of course with the advent of more computer-based technology, even over the course of that decade, including Titanic 4 years later, I feel like that was really a boon for stretching the mind in terms of things that can actually happen in film.
I think Jurassic Park looks so good that it made other filmmakers lazy. Like, you have to use CGI in creative ways. It's kind of a bummer that like we begin the decade with T2 and Jurassic Park and we end it with like The Phantom Menace.
Very good point. Yeah, very good point. Now, for me, I saw this in the theater. I was about 14 or 15, depending on when it came out. Summer, right? So I was probably
old.
What?
Nothing.
Oh, I thought I heard you coughing. You all right? You need a cough drop?
No, I'm just calling you old.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry, the lone adult on the show.
Mike Bloom is married. That's more than we can say.
I know, it's true. It's true.
I'm still a kid at heart.
Yeah.
And an age.
Yeah.
You're the proverbial Dr. Grant on this podcast, and we're the Lex and Tim.
Yeah, I would say so. You're Tim.
Yeah, I'm not climbing down from this fence.
I'm not a nerd. I'm a hacker.
Well, I think I think actually Tim could be both of us because Tim, like both of us, also has a problem with controlling the volume of his voice. It feels like in a world filled with dinosaurs that can detect the smallest amount of noise, he's literally screaming at the top of his lungs every time he sees something new.
Yeah,
that's true. I always wanted to be Tim, though. When I was a kid, I fucking loved that character.
Oh, the kids are fantastic, and I feel like kid actors, especially in the 80s and 90s, they can be a little tough to come by. So,
Spielberg's good at it, though, man.
I think the girl is good. I could have done without that kid. He was annoying as shit to me.
Joe Mazzello, a fine actor, still working today. I've loved him on things like Justified and in the Pacific.
Right. Yep, working with Piss Pants Kids side by side.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. They're both working actors, which is more than I can say for what's her name, Ariana Grande. She's done with that. She's washed up now. Yeah,
or licked up. What I will say about going back to Malcolm as well, because I guess we'll sort of cut to when they first fly into the island. Malcolm has the weirdest introduction where he's just sitting there like growling at them, like he's like,
it's a real hot cha.
And why is he doing like a Tim Curry, like in Leather Daddy cosplay type of routine while he's sitting on a helicopter introducing himself to these people?
That whole helicopter scene is weird because then there's that long sequence of like Alan trying to buckle his seat for no reason.
It's like a Wolf of Wall Street thing, which actually I believe also had a shot where like they lingered on someone trying to get their seatbelt on. Like this movie, unlike the other film, is 2 hours and change, but I feel like it really flies by, except for this one moment where they feel like they had to concentrate on, Dr. Grant doesn't play by the rules because he can't buckle a seatbelt.
Yeah, and look at that guy Malcolm. He's insane.
Well, to get back for a second to also for what the movie did for you guys.
Go ahead.
Like it didn't really, for me it resonated definitely, for the CGI because I obviously like anyone hadn't seen anything like that, but it was interesting. I have not really rewatched the movie over the years, bits and pieces, that kind of thing. It was never like a seminal movie to me. I didn't fall into the whole craze of it of that year. I remember being a little underwhelmed when I saw it, but not by the obviously by the effects or anything. But I think I was at the age where I was really kind of wanting more, like less of a attempt at a scary movie, of which it was not and is not. But I guess if you're young enough, certainly. But when I rewatched it this time, it was a very different experience, but it was better than I remembered. But there were things about it that stuck out to me that made me realize why it didn't stick with me very long, for so long.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we get to some of those things?
Sure.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
Well, first of all, I remembered having no problem, indeed, thinking Sam Neill was great. I always liked Sam Neill. I always thought he's a really good actor. I like him when he pops up now and then. Not the most prolific guy, but I always liked him. And I realized when I'm watching this, it was kind of to me astonishing how underwhelmed and bored he seemed to be doing the movie, which is not something we come across too much. It's sort of the Harrison Ford syndrome, when he would fall into things you could easily tell he wasn't interested in. And it just seemed to me like Sam Neill was just really just kind of phoning this in, and that was striking to me because I did not remember that being an issue.
I don't see it, man.
Yeah. I guess I can understand, because it seems like naturally laconic, just maybe laid back. I wonder if it's because there's so much action affiliated with him. But what I will say is, if we're comparing our two leading men here between Sam Neill and Goldblum in the second movie, I would not say either one is a perfect fit, but I would take Sam Neill over Goldblum because I feel like Neill can at least I feel like Neill can at least emote a little bit. I mean, we'll talk in the second movie, but even when Goldblum is supposed to be like despairingly shouting out his girlfriend's name, all he can say is Sarah. It just seems like I love Jeff Goldblum, but I don't think he can really fit into that role of like having a palette of emotions to play. Whereas Sam Neill, I think his character was supposed to be a little more stoic, so it sort of fit in with his personality. But I think
that's right. I think that's right. But
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
But I was going to say, I think like maybe who were the other guys that were up for this? I mean, I don't think
John Hurt or Harold
William Hurt.
No,
William
Hurt. Yeah, not John Hurt.
Now that would have been interesting. That I would have liked. William Hurt would have probably been very boring.
I think Goldblum is a lot more charismatic than Sam Neill.
Yeah, and you know what? I didn't remember thinking that at the time, and this time it really stuck out to me. I was like, my God, Goldblum is like a scene stealer without even trying to be. I mean, he's just doing Jeff Goldblum, but it was very a stark contrast, and there was a strange. I don't know what you guys thought about this, because this isn't really negative or positive, but there was a strange lack of chemistry between Sam Neill and Goldblum. Like, I thought, like, when Goldblum was, like, hitting on Laura Dern and stuff, that Sam Neill's character would have been, like, more aggressively jealous or some kind of...
No, Alan Grant is very secure in his relationship with Ellie Sattler.
So the thing is, though, like, Allie and Ellie, I'll even admit I love this movie, but I feel like one of the weak points is that Alan and Ellie's relationship is not very well defined at all. Like,
because they're never together, they're never on screen together.
They're dating, but
I hadn't seen it in so long. I didn't even realize that they were a couple until about 10 minutes into their screen time together.
Yeah, they were dating, but they're talking about kids at the same time, but they're not married. Like, I believe in the third movie, not to spoil your next viewing, but I believe they have a kid in the third movie. So
there's always a fucking kid in these movies. Oh, you're saying they have a kid together?
Yeah, I believe they have. I mean, there are more kids involved in Jurassic Park 3, but I believe they have a kid together as well. But yeah, I mean, I was totally shipping Malcolm and Ellie over Alan and Ellie, which I think makes sense because, the Laura Dern Jeff Goldblum relationship apparently left off the screen quite literally and culminated in a 2-year engagement.
I didn't know that. Now, that would have been an interesting couple, but you can't tie Malcolm down. You can't trust this fella.
No, because
he's a hip-hop
literally
cat.
Everything with 2 legs, apparently, according to that one scene. Like, oh yeah, I have multiple kids in multiple places.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's established he has 3 kids, and we meet one of them in The Lost World, and there's no white blood in her. I don't know how Goldblum got tied down. I mean, it's a very weird bit of casting, honestly, and it makes sense. Like, he had a black ex-wife, so he had this kid, but it's just odd, man. The Lost World does not need a kid.
Well, I agree.
None of these movies need a kid. No movies need a kid.
I agree so much. I really, really agree.
The idea is that kids can enjoy these movies, so they need like an audience representative or something.
Surrogate. I don't know. I feel like we can definitely talk about this, but I feel like this falls into the category of sequels where they said, okay, what did people like about the first film? Let's give them more of that. Especially when I feel like when making Ian Malcolm the main character. Again, I don't know what the reception was at the time. If Goldblum was indeed a breakout character, they're saying, oh, much like Shakespeare, they loved Falstaff in the Henry ad, so they said, let's bring him as a main character and make Merry Wives of Windsor. They decided to do the same thing with Goldblum, and it didn't necessarily work. They thought, oh, they loved the kid characters, let's bring in another kid character here. And again, it doesn't necessarily translate from movie to movie.
Well, I will say that Malcolm is the lead of the Lost World book, but there's no telling what Michael Crichton and Steven Spielberg talked about before the writing of that book.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's very possible that Spielberg was like, hey, give Jeff Goldblum a bigger part. And Crichton was like, you mean Ian Malcolm? And Spielberg was like, write your fucking book. So, I mean...
another thing that really shocked me, which was interesting, was I'll get to John Williams in a while, but was Dean Cundy's cinematography. Okay. What? Go ahead.
No, I loved it. I think.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's a reason why some of the most infamous shots in movie history between like the first pan to the Brontosaurus to the drop of the ripples in the water to the side mirror shot. I mean, those are some of like the movie shots that come to mind when I first think of film.
Now that's interesting because every shot you just described, I am ascribing those to Spielberg.
Okay.
Because Dean Cundey, to me, in this movie, this is one of the most. It's not necessarily a put down. It is the most colorful movie, and I mean that literally. One of the most colorful movies I've ever seen, to the point where it's like almost so bright. It's so full of primary colors, and it's so bizarre. Like, I guess it's the choices of the yellow and the green Jeeps, and then, and I think it's one of the reasons I much preferred the cinematography of the second one.
Oh,
I think you're a nut job.
Because
I would agree with that. The second movie, it felt.
You would agree with that I'm a nut job?
Yeah.
Okay,
no offense, but I know.
No, none taken.
But I just feel like the second film, the cinematography was so much more standard. It just felt like another action movie to me. Whereas, with a couple of exceptions, I did like, not to go too much in the second movie, but like the shadow play they did on the T-Rex. But it just feels like in this first movie there are more unique types of shots. They took the Jaws approach of let's not show the dinosaurs until a significant way into the film.
I don't agree with that.
No, hey, hear me out. This is a dinosaur movie.
There's dinosaurs all over this thing.
It's gotta be bright.
Constant.
It's gotta be bright and fun and watchable. It's what I say about a lot of action movies. Turn the fucking lights on. We're supposed to be having fun here.
You do say that.
Jurassic Park is a bright movie. The problem with The Lost World is we're switching out Dean Cundey, the guy who did, Back to the Future, to Giannis Kaminski, who's like the serious business film, cinematographer.
And I guess that's why I liked it more.
You want Giannis Kaminski for, Saving Private Ryan.
For Schindler's List.
I don't think he works for The Lost World. I think Steven Spielberg, who now uses Giannis Kaminski for everything.
Yeah.
He should have stuck with Dean Cundey for his fun flights of fancy and used Giannis Kaminski on Munich or whatever.
Right. Yeah, it just didn't. I found it a little distracting. By the way, I'm not panning this movie. I'm just pointing out the things that.
No, it's good. You're a counterpoint.
Contrarian, yeah.
Yeah, well.
Contrarian.
But not deliberately, because I only read from notes. I don't improvise, so I'm just reading what I wrote.
I improvise everything. I do have one note on this.
That was a joke. I don't do that.
I know.
I have five things written. Yeah.
You ready for this note?
I am ready.
Hey, the tires on those Jurassic Park trucks? BFG tires, a little foreshadowing for Steven Spielberg's career.
Pre-written. Yeah. Pre-written joke.
The only joke that I pre-wrote was looks like the T-Rex got her goat.
I love that scene, man. I'll tell you what, PETA would not be endorsing the Jurassic Park.
PETA or PETA.
Well, I was trying to remember in Jurassic World. I'm trying to remember if there's a similar. I think there might be with the plesiosaur or the giant water creature that they use for like the SeaWorld exhibit. There might be some animal abuse there, but yeah, it would definitely not be the same type of thing in this day and age.
Now, can PETA retroactively be annoyed that dinosaurs were harmed during the making of the movie?
I do think dinosaurs are harmed. Would that, if this was a real thing, would PETA, would this fall under the PETA branch?
I would think so. They cover.
Are they animals?
That doesn't matter. PETA gets involved with insect abuse and all kinds of stuff on films.
Well, don't you guys remember when there was like an old photo of Steven Spielberg standing next to the animatronic of the sick Triceratops, and people were outraged because they thought it was an actual like hunting picture, and like, look how callous Steven Spielberg is. He hunts dinosaurs.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Amazing.
Is that a joke?
No, that actually happened.
Wow. Oh my God. Were the same people that thought that Triceratops was real, the same people who run the Creationist Museum in Kentucky and think that we rode dinosaurs and lived at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, that probably it goes along with that narrative.
Yeah, it would make sense, because then it would be like, oh, well, they exist, so, they're hunting Triceratops. Okay, interesting. Yeah. Wow.
Flintstones.
God. Blew my mind.
Yeah. Okay. Mike, what else you got? Where do we go next? How about let's talk about the control room, okay?
Yeah, let's talk about our BD Wong cameo, who gets a major credit in this movie despite being on screen. He's very much the Judi Dench in Shakespeare in Love.
He's a big character in the book. I think that might be why. I think he might have gotten cut a little bit in the movie. But,
yeah, which sucks because I love me some BD Wong, but I like again, we don't get much of a glimpse of what the park would have been. They saved that for Jurassic World proper, but I love the ride. I love Mr. DNA especially, which they said that they purposely put in there to essentially truncate all exposition into a little clippy from Microsoft Word coming out and talking about everything that they did scientifically.
So smart. The fucking book is riddled with exposition. It's obnoxious.
I bet. Yeah.
Can we also talk about the lawyer who is going to be very short-lived? But he has this very odd line that I picked up on, where they're talking about how the dinosaurs reproduce, and he just goes, "Are these animals autoerotica?"
I did notice that.
Are you trying to fuck a dinosaur, lawyer?
I think this was the first time I noticed that ever.
Lawyers try to fuck everybody. So,
yeah, but no, he gets the answer. Listen, these dinosaurs are all scissors. That's all they're doing.
I just could just imagine, I don't know, the lawyer, if he had more time, pulling him aside and being like, "All right, so can I get some pterodactyl punang anytime? We have free range here?
Let's lay some eggs."
all the Triceratopsi on this movie were free-range Triceratops, so nobody...
Hey, the lawyer's a Triceratops.
Oh God! All right. Listen, you got a million lawsuits on your hands. Look, I'll let you open the park, but here's the thing: I gotta let the T-Rex take me as its bride.
Oh,
the T-Rex.
That's right. I'm shooting big.
Yeah.
We didn't even mention. I'm sure we will, but we mentioned BD Wong, but we didn't even mention. I'm tired of these motherfucking T-Rexes in this motherfucking park.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
DJ Love Daddy himself, Samuel L. Jackson.
No idea that he was in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
He's so
good at remember, and it was a wonderful surprise.
He's great. He loses his arm. He's fantastic.
We don't get to see that scene, unfortunately.
No.
But.
Yeah. I always wondered when I was watching this film, why is the visitor center always so filled with smoke? And I know that 90% of it comes from that guy, Ray, considering he is just wolfing down cigarettes every time we see this guy.
He never takes them out of his mouth. He delivers his dialogue through a cigarette. It's kind of remarkable.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
And, there's so much I love about the control room. The cigarettes is one thing, but just Dennis Nedry's workstation with, wrappers and gross shit all over the place. His fucking wallpaper on his computer, which is just, a lady in a bikini. And his weird, what's his little message?
You didn't say the secret word.
Yeah.
Oh man,
the magic word. Yeah.
Wayne Knight. I mean, he's also in peak assholedom as well, considering that this is season 5 or 6 of Seinfeld. So his Newman's pretty established. The one thing I noticed is because we skipped over, Nedry's part in this is that he has been, I guess, dispatched by a rival dinosaur-seeking corporation to steal embryos via a can of Barbasol. How does somebody notice a fucking can of shaving cream just sitting on this guy's desk the entire time?
His desk is so crazy. There's so much shit on there that I don't think it would even surprise me. Now, the guy who was dispatching him to take these embryos, Dodgson, who's a big character in the second one in the book, but they cut him out.
I know what's coming now.
That actor, Cameron Thor, okay, he was a big acting teacher in Hollywood for years, and that guy's in a lot of trouble these days. And this is well before the big reckoning, but he has been accused of some bad child molestation. Yeah.
Bad guy.
So that's all I can picture. You know, you look at that scene.
Brings a whole new meaning to him wanting embryos.
Oh, God. Look at that picture. Them at that table. You got this guy, Cameron Thor, and slobby Wayne Knight. If I asked you to say which one of these two is a child molester, you would not say Cameron Thor.
And that has become like also a pretty memeable moment as well. I've seen it a couple times where like it's the like somebody Wayne Knight yells something and he comes back to the table and says, "See, nobody cares." I feel like I've seen that a few times with random pieces of pop culture.
Sure. Well, I love that scene. Dodgson, we've got Dodgson here. That makes me laugh.
And also him putting shaving cream on this poor helpless piece of pie that somebody's probably going to eat and not even understand what's going on.
That drives
he's doing
me
a
nuts.
real Michael Myers.
I was going to say the same thing, Henry. I do not like people ruining sandwiches or dessert items. Yeah. Michael Myers got blood on a sandwich in Halloween 2. It drove me nuts.
Not cool.
Yeah, not okay. All right. Anything else? I feel like we should wrap up Jurassic Park and get to the Lost World.
I mean, we should probably talk about the dinosaurs a little bit here.
Who's your favorite dinosaur? I'll say the only one that doesn't look great is Gallimimus, the running ones.
Yeah, but that's a really fun. I know it's like probably the most CGI of the CGI, considering that they're the ones most directly interacting with the actors. But I love that scene of them being like, "Oh, this is fun. They're running," and then you realize like, "Oh fuck, they're running towards us. Oh fuck, they're running from the T-Rex. Let's run too."
No, that's a good scene.
Charming.
Yeah, I loved everything with Grant and the kids. Like I can understand cutting back to the trip to restore power, but like you could have just, in my opinion, I know I love Malcolm, but and I know we have different opinions about Sam Neill, but I feel like Grant and the kids was the most powerful thing, just because we actually got to see more of Jurassic Park and sort of its dark side.
Absolutely.
Well,
I think everything with the kids. I think everything with the kids is great, man. The kitchen sequence with the Velociraptors is harrowing.
That's another shot that I really loved, and again, I don't know if that was Spielberg or not, but the scene where we get tricked, where we see the kids and the reflection.
I still get tricked watching the movie, and I know it's coming, but there's something about the way that scene is shot where it really does fool you, like the reflection of Lex in the stainless steel. Yeah.
This is adorable. I love this.
What? You're not a fan?
You guys are fanning out. I like it. I'm glad that you are. I knew you would. It's
so
cool.
Condescending.
No, I don't mean it that way. I don't mean it. I honestly do not.
Okay.
I don't mean it in a condescending way. I just because I feel like I want to be with you on this. But I mean, for me, my favorite scene in the movie was the extended sequence of the T-Rex in the rain with the Jeeps. I mean, I think that sequence is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I think it gives you. That's why I went. That's what I'm watching the movie for, to see this close interaction with the dinosaur, and the music mercifully is toned down for that scene.
John Williams score is great in this, Henry.
It's in my top 5 worst scores
that is
he's ever written.
Insane.
Wow.
Come on.
And I've always hated it.
It's great.
I've always hated it. I hated it when I saw it and didn't have anything about music, movie music. I think it's one of the laziest things he's written.
It's majestic.
It's so over the top. It's just, and it never stops. It's constant. It's like, feel this. I mean, I'm watching a movie about dinosaurs. I get it. I don't need the musical cues to constantly tell me what I'm supposed to be experiencing.
It reminds me of the Lost score a little bit, and it helps that they're tromping around Hawaii in this movie.
The Lost score's better.
Well, Giacchino did Jurassic World, and he's a perfect choice, because I think that's kind of what they're going for in this movie.
Yeah.
And what I will say is, even though I disagree about the score, I will agree with you about that T-Rex scene. I mean, it is gripping and legitimately terrifying at points, too. And we'll see, again, I feel like this is another example of how in the second film they said, okay, this worked, let's do the exact same thing over again. And it's interesting how I feel like both of those sequences are probably the same length of time, but it feels fundamentally different because the T-Rex goes so many different places. You have them rolling the kids over, and you have the lawyer running to the bathroom and him getting eaten. Then you have Malcolm distracting him with the flare. Then you have Grant running over. Then you have them going over the cliff. And then in the second movie, they're hanging there, and the glass breaks, and then Eddie dies.
Yeah,
Eddie?
And
oh, I'm sorry, Richard Schiff.
yeah.
Oh, wait, Richard Schiff? Are you talking about Lost World?
Yeah.
Oh, I got distracted. All right,
He was kind of mixing them up. Yeah. I remembered the kitchen scene very well. That was but it just didn't do it for me really as much. But the T-Rex sequence with the cars was it for me. That pushed it over for me. So, yeah.
Much like he pushed that car over the cliff.
That's right.
With his cute little nose.
Richard Schiff's nose, or
that's racist.
Oh.
All right. What do you guys give this movie? Mike, do you know our 1 to 5 score?
You may need to remind me of it.
Okay. So 1, piece of shit. Never needed to watch it. Irredeemable. 2, it was fine. You know, it's an entry in the franchise. It's all right. 3, good. Right? 4.
Well, good, but good. You know, pretty good.
Pretty good. Fine. 4 is like I'm into it. This is what I want. I'm down. And 5 is like it's a contender for the best. Loving it. Classic movie.
I mean, I can't make this my number 2 film of the year and not give it a 5. I know that it has problems, but this is a movie that I'll always look upon with warmness, and going back to watch this, I've just had so many great feelings flooding back, again, as much as we like to poke fun at the characters, so this is, again, my heavy bias, but I'm going with the 5, all the way to the end of the scale for me.
I absolutely think that was the right choice for you to make, Mike. I'm glad you said that, because I don't think I've said this before on the show to Dan. When you like a movie that much and you're going to praise it that much and it means so much to you, you really have an give it a 5.
It'd be hypocritical if I was like, 4 after all this.
Exactly. So
I've been known to do that on this
show.
Yes,
that's kind of what I'm coming from.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've done it too, but Dan's definitely done it, and I've been like, what the hell? The whole time I'm talking about it, I thought you were going to go 5.
This is a 5 for me, Henry.
I figured that. Yep. Yeah. I'm going to go with, what do you guys think I'm going to go with?
3.
Yeah, I was thinking 3.
You both are correct.
Okay, 3.
And at a 3.
Now, who is your MVP, most valuable player of this film?
Mike?
I'm going to say you're going to go with Ian Malcolm.
Oh, yeah, I am going to go with Ian Malcolm.
You're guessing ours? Oh, okay, I didn't know you were guessing ours.
Oh, sorry, I thought I was guessing yours.
I'll say right now, yes, Jeff Goldblum is my MVP.
Yeah, I would say the exact same thing. It's got to be Ian Malcolm.
Look at that, 3 across the board.
Okay.
LVP. I think I already said mine earlier. Sam Neill is mine.
I'd like to give a shout out MVP wise to Muldoon as well.
Ooh, he gets the silver medal there.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So LVP, are we going with like all characters? Or are we going
anyone
with
you want? It can be a director. It can be anything. A composer, John Williams. Anybody.
Stop it! It's such a small cast that it's hard to.
It is hard. Yeah.
It's hard to pick. LVP, I suppose I will go with the lawyer. He's a little one-dimensional for me.
Yeah, actually, I might go with that as well. Because again, I feel like all the other characters have at least some like dimensionality to them, and even the ones like Ray who really they're played by Samuel motherfucking Jackson, so they're fun to watch. The lawyer has his moments. I like the moment when they're arguing with Hammond when he says like, well, the only one who trusts me is the blood-sucking lawyer, and then he's like, you're welcome. But I'm happy that he sort of got killed off early on just because he seemed to be filling the role of that sort of antagonist, and we'll talk about this with the Lost World. I don't think you need a big antagonist when you're in a fucking dinosaur movie.
I would have liked a weirder energy coming from that lawyer. Give me a Wallace Shawn. Give me a Bob Balaban.
Oh.
Those are two very different dynamics. Wallace Shawn's very loud and brash. Bob Geldof is much more quiet.
Yeah.
Wallace Shawn.
I would love to see Jurassic Park with Wallace Shawn in a lead.
You've got dinosaurs everywhere!
Oh, that's a good impression. Wow.
That's pretty good.
That's very
Again,
good.
I'm shrill like him, so it really just fits naturally in my timbre.
Sure.
That's very good.
Don't say tambor. That's a tough word these days.
Uh-oh.
All right.
I got a superhero count.
Oh, of course. There's a lot in this movie, right?
There was more than I thought. Yeah.
Well, you got Nick Fury.
I'm breeze through them. Yeah. Yes, we got Nick Fury.
You got whatever Jeff Goldblum plays in Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's
Or in Thor Ragnarok, yeah.
That's
Right. Oh, Thor Ragnarok, right.
And Guardians of the Galaxy. So that's two. Sam Jackson and Goldblum. You got B.D. Wong, who plays Doctor Strange in Gotham.
Does he?
Oh, he does?
Wait,
Yeah.
wait. It's not Doctor Strange. That's a DC property.
Yeah, Gotham. Hugo Strange.
But that's not Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is Marvel.
Not that Doctor Strange. It's Dr. Hugo Strange. The villain in Batman is also called Doctor Strange.
Oh, yes. This is like from those days when Marvel and DC were rivaling so much with each other. They were literally taking names and characters and adapting them to their own product.
I thought
Classic
you knew that,
DC.
Dan.
Here's a shittier version of a character that's good.
Look,
I know the character you're talking about now.
Right.
I didn't know he played him. B.D. Wong, I will say, I love in Mr. Robot.
Oh, yeah. B.D. Wong's fantastic. And also a Broadway actor as well. I believe he was in the revival of You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown as Linus. So he's got a very storied career to him.
I like that colorblind casting on Linus. That works for me.
Do the other one least interesting one. A character in this movie who's really early on helps load some equipment is played by a Hispanic actor named Miguel Sandoval, and he was in Howard the Duck and Lois and Clark and Superman the Animated Series.
Look at that.
Yeah.
An
And
all-star.
Wayne Knight, of course, we've covered him a couple of times before.
Newman is not a superhero, Henry.
Yeah, Newman was in Punisher Warzone as Micro.
That's right.
I thought you were going to... I don't know if this counts as superheroes, but wasn't he also like a voice on like the Buzz Lightyear animated series?
Buzz Lightyear is definitely a superhero, Henry.
Yeah,
Get on that.
Not on my list, but yeah. He's also done a couple of DC animated films. All right, and then the final one was Sam Neill, who was apparently playing Odin as an actor in a stage play of Thor's life in Thor Ragnarok.
That is insane.
What?
Yeah.
Is Laura Dern upcoming in a...
Oh, I don't know. She didn't show on her filmography.
I don't know. Well, she's riding a little bit of a wave, considering that she just won the Emmy for Big Little Lies, so she might be involved with that.
I loved Big Little Lies.
Oh yeah, I just finished watching it for the very first time many months after the fact, and it might be my favorite scripted series of 2017.
Ooh, listen to you.
So good, so good, and the performances are just incredible.
Yeah, doesn't quite. I mean, to me, it's a real dog race between the Deuce and the Leftovers, but hey, what a year HBO is having.
I was gonna say it's all on HBO now. Yeah. I would throw Westworld season 1 in there as well for like maybe running behind the pack,
16, I believe.
Oh yeah, end of 2016. You were right.
Yeah, I loved that too. But Star Wars is what I was thinking of with Laura Dern, gang. She's in that Last Jedi. All right, The Lost World, Jurassic Park, comes 4 years later. Directed by Steven Spielberg, written by David Koepp again, released May 23rd, 1997. A slightly higher budget of $73 million. No problem, the box office is $618.6 million. Now, the movie took longer because of the novel. They were waiting for Michael Crichton to write the novel, but then they didn't use that much of the novel. Originally, I think Joe Johnston was set to direct this, but then, I don't know his obsession with Joe Johnston. We'll get to that next week. But, Steven Spielberg was like, he wanted one more crack at it. I think it was like, they decided they were going to do the dinosaur coming to San Diego, and he really wanted to be a part of that, so he decided he was going to direct again. Whatever. It was nominated for 1 Oscar, Best Visual Effects. It lost to Titanic. Of course, Jurassic Park was the highest-grossing movie of all time until Titanic came out.
Yeah.
Titanic won everything that year, right? Except for Leo, thank God.
And I don't think Kate Winslet won either.
Oh,
no, I don't
right.
think she did either. Well, that was the year of As Good as It Gets.
Yeah, it took till The Reader for her to win. Right, Helen Hunt.
Helen Hunt.
Man, there was an episode of Legends of Tomorrow this week, or last week, and it was about them like going back in time trying to find Helen of Troy. And the episode was called Helen Hunt. I thought that was pretty brilliant.
Oh, boy. Oh, yes. Yes.
Wow.
Now, it's a DC product. Does Doctor Strange make a cameo in the middle?
No, he doesn't.
Hunting Helen Strange?
A DC product with some humor in it. That's even more surprising.
That's the TV.
Yeah, that's the Berlanti verse.
Yeah, that's right. I like the Berlanti. Well, I watched 2 of the 4. Do you watch those, Mike?
I've watched like the first 2 seasons of Flash. I've watched like bits and pieces of Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow and a little bit of Supergirl, just because as a big like theater person, there happened to be a bunch of random theater people in Supergirl, so I watched that for a little bit. So I've probably seen scattered parts like you, but yeah, I enjoy the lightness behind it, just because I feel like with the Nolanizing of the DC properties that we've sort of fallen into, sometimes I just want to see, much like you were talking about before, with like the bright colors that you want to see in a dinosaur film. I sort of want to see at least some humor, not shoehorned in, but like nicely injected into my superhero properties.
Yeah, give me some jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Flash is a very charming show. All right. I got Lost World came in at number 3 at the box office for 1997. I have the top 10 here. What else is on it, gang?
All right. Men in Black has got to be in there. Remember, it was a smash.
That's number 2 by Addams Family Values director Barry Sonnenfeld.
Oh boy, he's got a good record.
Yeah.
Titanic.
That's number 1. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember if The Fifth Element was like
that tanked.
It tanked,
I love
so
that movie,
not.
but it didn't do well.
Give me Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting's on here. How do you like them apples? At number 7.
I'm very impressed with that. I would not have called that. I need some help.
Okay, number 10. It's produced by Barbara Broccoli.
Oh, Tomorrow Never Dies.
That's right.
Oh God, Brosnan Bond movies.
That's the best Brosnan movie.
That's saying something. That's like being the tallest dwarf.
Number 9. You got an actress from The Pelican Brief and
Notting Hill.
Nope. What's the other one from that year?
My Best Friend's
Thank
Wedding.
you. Yeah.
Say a little prayer.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Mm. Number 8. Amazingly, I think this is the first time we've come across this. A re-release.
Oh, was this when the Star Wars
Correct.
movies got re-released?
Yeah. Star Wars Special Edition.
That's right. I saw all 3 of them again in there.
Yeah, I think I ended up seeing New Hope in the theater, and again, I was very confused as to what was going on, but I was impressed.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah. I love that New Hope Special Edition, man.
Oh my God.
You know what's even better? Return of the Jedi Special Edition, especially like the last 5 minutes. Oh my God,
listen,
art.
The Special Edition of Jedi, if I'm being, is unwatchable. But I love it on some level. The stupid sand pit thing jumping out, and Hayden Christensen being in the end, and the weird.
Oh yeah, and then the fucking big lipped creature dancing to the jizz music in the middle of Jabba's palace.
Yeah, but I do love New Hope. I like Greedo shooting first, and I enjoy Han jumping over the tail. That's
that's the part. Yeah,
I love
that's the part.
Okay, so 7 is Good Will Hunting. Number 6, Helen Hunt. This is a big clue.
As good as it gets.
Thank you.
Yeah, we already said it. Yeah, right.
All right, number 5, Henry. Planes. Why did it have to be planes?
Air Force One.
Thank you. Yeah. And number 4, just to prove how big Jim Carrey still was in 1997.
Liar, liar.
Liar,
Oh, boy.
liar.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, so then Lost World, MIB, and Titanic. All right, we might as well jump straight into your top 10 movies of 1997.
All right, I guess I'll start off again. My 2 comic inspirations growing up in the 90s, one was Robin Williams, the other one was Jim Carrey. Again, not my favorite Carrey movie whatsoever, but I thought he put in a powerhouse performance here, so I got to go with Liar Liar as my number 10.
Liar.
Apparently the audiences loved it as much as I did.
I liked Liar, Liar.
Oh, I watched the fuck out of it on VHS.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
My number.
Who's the mom in that movie?
Oh, God.
Maura Tierney.
Maura Tierney,
Yes.
the great Maura Tierney, underrated.
Yeah.
All right, what's yours?
My number 10 is Gattaca.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a crazy inclusion. I like that movie, but that's an interesting choice.
love it.
97, I think, is a great year, by the way. I have
Yes,
a lot
it
of
is.
movies
Oh,
I
it's
love.
such a good year for movies.
Yeah, it really is.
I have here at number 10 the most watchable of his films today, Kevin Smith's Chasing Amy.
Yeah, I mean, I like Chasing Amy as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Number 9, Mike.
Number 9, I'm going to keep going with the wisdom of the crowd here. Air Force One.
Love it. Love it. Wolfgang Peterson. You know who would have been a good Hammond if you wanted to do the villain route?
Werner Herzog.
I was just going to say that. Werner Herzog.
Oh, that would be and he's deranged enough as well to like pull that off too.
Yeah.
That would have been great. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's it. Number 9 for me is Chasing Amy.
Mine is Good Will Hunting. A Weinstein
Too
joint.
low. Too low.
My number 10
So is
and 9
Chasing
Weinstein
Amy, right?
movies. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Number 8, Mike.
Let's stay in the air. I'm going with Con Air for my number 8.
I love Con Air.
Great movie. Talk about
My-
bad movies that are incredibly watchable.
Well, this is also, we were talking about like the movie in terms of like the year in terms of good films. There's a lot of bad films here too. You have like Batman and Robin, Face Off, like Good Burger. So there's like a myriad of good films and so bad they're good films in 97.
Absolutely.
I think Con Air is a legitimately great film.
I think Batman and Robin is one of the movies I've watched the most in my life. Just because it's so crazy. It's like The Room, but with money.
Yeah, it's like if The Room, if like Tommy Wiseau directed a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Well, he could play Mr. Freeze. I could
He'd
see
be a
it.
great Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Please stop, freeze, huh?
Oh, hi, Batman. Okay.
My number 8 is a perennial Henry favorite, Copland.
It is. James Mangold. Number 8 for me is L.A. Confidential.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
My number 7, Henry and I are back on the same page. I'm going with Gattaca.
Wow! All right, look at that. I love it.
I watched Gattaca in my biology class in 10th grade to understand DNA coding, and I just fell in love with it for some reason.
It's a great movie. I love it.
Andrew Niccol was on a hot streak at the time. I believe he also
Yeah.
wrote The Truman Show like a year
That's
later.
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
such a good movie.
Great movie. 7, Henry.
Dan? Yeah. No, 7 you.
No, he said Gattaca. What's your 7?
Right. Oh, sorry. The Ice Storm.
That's my number 7.
Oh, there you go.
All right, what's number 6?
My number 6 comes maybe a little bit out of left field, but this is one that I watched for the other movie podcast that I do, The Hamster Factor. I watched it the first time like a year ago, and I really, really enjoyed it. David Fincher's The Game with Michael Douglas.
That's a great
Lord,
movie.
give me an
Hey,
ear.
how come I don't know about The Hamster Factor?
You got to check it out.
I want to listen to it. What's the premise?
So essentially, it's me and AJ Mass, who's a podcaster and ESPN writer, and essentially every couple weeks we watch a film that I have never seen before and he has, and we sort of compare and contrast our differing reactions to it. He's putting it into the context of the time and when he saw it when it came out, and I'm watching it, today in the context of history of film, and we sort of talk about the film and how it might sit within today. We've covered a bunch of movies, the games included. We talked about Donnie Darko, Primer, Looper. We watched a whole genre of films.
Oh, wow.
We're getting up to episode 50 right now.
Wow.
Very cool.
Man,
very cool.
It's a little bit like my old podcast, Surviving Survivor, but for movies.
It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah. I want to listen to. I love AJ Mass too. I will check that out, and everybody out there should too. The Hamster Factor.
Yes, it's named after the very first episode that we did, which I actually don't think we did on another podcast. It's sort of a pilot project. It's a documentary about the movie 12 Monkeys, which was like our very first movie that I had never seen and he had. So, and it's sort of, again, David Lynch was so into the David Fincher was so into the minutia of each and everything with the film that there was this one scene. Terry Gilliam, I'm sorry. Too many white guys getting mixed up in my head, but where there was a scene where in 12 Monkeys where there were a bunch of like hamsters running on wheels in the background, and Terry Gilliam was so specific about everything that he like demanded that these wheels all spin in the correct direction. So it just shows how much we like to break down each and every detail in our nerdy ways.
I love it. Henry, what's your number 6?
Boogie Nights.
Ooh, good one.
Too low.
Well, it's a good year.
My number 6, Paul Verhoeven's Starship Troopers.
That's a good one. That's another talk again. Now, are you in the Henry boat of like, is that a not just so bad it's good, it's just a plain good movie?
That's legit great. I love every second of that movie.
He loves it.
Very,
I bought it for him once for his birthday, but he had already it was already purchased for you, right? Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, that is one of my favorites.
All right, number 5, Mike.
Good Will Hunting.
All right.
Yes, sir. My number 5 is Jackie Brown.
My number 5 is Neil LaBute's In the Company of Men.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Not on my list. Damn good year. Number 4, Mike.
Number 4 for me. I know you guys covered this one. I don't know if it holds up after 20 years, but this just my comic loving heart. This left such an impression on me.
Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my.
Hey, it's the best of the 3. I'll say that.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I'm a fan of The Spy Who Shagged Me. That's another example of Spy Who Shagged Me to Goldmember is another example of them saying, "Hey, what was funny last time? Let's just do that again." Oh, they misinterpreted shadows to mean something sexual. Great, we'll just do that one more time.
Spy Who Shagged Me to International Man of Mystery is kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah, they also went in a completely insane direction, which I sort of love.
You can hear our show on that one. It's one of our best, I think.
Is it?
Because we were so miserable, both of us.
The second week when we did Spy Who Shagged Me and Goldmember, we were very dispirited in that episode.
Yeah, it's just funny for that. Oh, boy. All right, number 4 for me, 1997, is The Game.
And I have here Jackie Brown.
Yeah.
Another Weinstein.
Oh, boy.
Number 3, Mike?
Boogie Nights.
Nice.
Great. Number
3 for me is Good Will Hunting.
I have here Christopher Guest's Waiting for Guffman.
Oh, yeah. You might have just spoiled my number 2 there.
Okay.
I actually had that as number 10 when Dan and me made these lists 6 or 7 years ago, and I crossed it out for Gattaca.
That's ridiculous.
Well, I did it at the time. So it must have been a choice I agreed with at the time.
Yeah, Guffman. Titanic was like that one for me. That was like number 10 and sort of slipped off the list in lieu of some of these crazier comedies. But yeah, I love Christopher Guest, even though he might be hit or miss. This to me is the pinnacle of everything that he's worked on. Again, as a theater lover, it just sort of speaks to everything I absolutely adore. So yeah, number 2 again for me is Guffman.
Couldn't agree more. It's a perfect comedy.
I agree.
One of the best ever.
I would agree with that.
I think it'd be my top 5 comedies of all time.
Whoa, all right.
Can't
go there.
Mm-hmm.
Can't go there. But number 2 for me is L.A. Confidential.
Okay. My number 2 is Deconstructing Harry.
Ah, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the number 1 movie of 1997, Mike Bloom.
This perfectly fits in with, when I was 8 years old at the time. All I wanted was cool effects, wisecracking protagonists, and a bunch of crazy action. So my number one movie has got to be Men in Black for 1997.
All right.
My God, you're such a mark for Barry Sonnenfeld.
I guess I'm his number one guy.
You really are.
Did you love RV?
I love Robin Williams. I did not love RV.
My number one movie of 1997, I am very happy with this choice, and I'll never change it, Deconstructing Harry.
And mine is Boogie Nights.
Sure, I figured that.
Yeah. All right, The Lost World, Jurassic Park. What's going on? We start on a deserted island, and there's some rich people eating some crudité, and the dad is Giles's nemesis.
The coffee shop owner from
yeah, Ethan Rain. And then their daughter gets chewed on. She gets chomped on by some little baby dinos. And do we know what those are called?
Yeah, they're called Compsognathus.
Yeah, but I think they went with like Compies for short.
Right.
Sure. Why not? They're cute. I really like them. Like, that's the way to go, I think. Getting killed by a cute animal.
Well, she wasn't killed, though. I think that's also an interesting distinction, is that maybe they feel like they were going for more of the family-friendly aspect, because I think they say later in the movie that she just got injured. They're like, a kid got injured.
That's right.
I think it'd be a little too graphic. I believe, actually, the initial Jurassic Park wanted to start off with, like, a kid getting attacked, but they all thought it might have been a little too dark and graphic.
The book does.
The book, yeah. So I know the book does. I feel like in 3 and 4, they also, like, do these fake-outs of trying to kill kids, but they never actually pull the trigger on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're right. It's Spielberg wussing out. He has a tendency towards this. It's like what he did with Kubrick's script with AI.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we cut to Jeff Goldblum. He's taking the subway. Which subway train is it? Don't know. It's clearly not in service. And I'm always distracted by that in movies.
I completely am as well. I'm looking at the seats to determine, like, okay, which
it looked like a
train
train to me, but I don't know.
You don't know. It could have been a D.
Yeah, it could have been. You're right. It's got the orange seat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those comments are for our tri-state listeners only.
Yeah, shout out to my New Yorkers out there.
Right.
We're all three. Well, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At one point.
Yeah. Are you from here, Mike?
So I'm initially from Connecticut. So I went to school in Pennsylvania, but I've always sort of grown up in the city or outside of the city.
Got it. All right. Greenwich, Connecticut.
Yeah, about 15 minutes from Greenwich.
Ooh, WWEville.
Yes, I pass it by frequently on my way to visit my parents. Their headquarters in Stamford.
That's great. So Goldblum, he's everybody signed an NDA after the incident at Jurassic Park, and Goldblum has broken the NDA and talked about the situation, and no one believes him. Right. Nobody believes me. And then he's hanging out, working with some folks. He goes over to John Hammond's house. He's bedridden for some reason. Tim and Lex are there to show a little, they don't
fan
have a
service.
lot. Yeah, they don't fan service for sure. They don't have a lot going on.
He's bedridden to one of my favorite moments. He's bedridden, and there's a stack of IVs next to him, and so you're thinking, oh boy, he's in real bad shape. Like he can't leave his saline or morphine. But then
he gets up and he's walking around.
He gets up and walks away. I'm like, what?
I don't know. I mean, Hammond couldn't count to 4 on his fingers in that one part. I think his mental faculties might not be all there.
I think they are too, because is he the one that says there were 3 deaths in the first?
There were way more.
4.
Yeah.
There's 4 at least. And yeah, I thought that was funny, and I don't ever notice things like that, and nor do I care. That's a who could care moment. But I was like, wait, 3 deaths? I really remember.
Maybe no one knows that Nedry died. He's just forgotten about.
Yeah, no one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares.
So, he's put as part of this squad to go out there to this Site B, which is, I think, a silly idea.
I mean, they literally lampshade this here, where Hammond's like, "Oh, we're not making the same mistakes again," and Malcolm says, "No, you're making completely new ones."
Yeah, I like that line.
It's a good joke.
That was a good line. Yeah.
Yeah, but those are the rare moments I feel like when Malcolm gets to like toy and be Malcolm. Those are my favorite points of this performance. Otherwise, when he's supposed to be like blank slate protagonist, those are when it really again does not hit for me. Also, I just find it weird also that like he didn't realize his paleontologist girlfriend had already left and was gone at this point.
Listen, he's got a lot of balls in the air when it comes to women. You can't trust him.
Keep track. That's a really good point, Mike, because that's actually ties in with didn't even think about it, with the first movie where I was confused as to the relationship between Dern and Sam Neill, and so this one, when Attenborough says that, I was like, wait a second, his girlfriend's over there and he doesn't know?
And I couldn't decide whether they were exes or current or what.
Me neither. Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason I had remembered that they were exes, but I guess that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, so J-Mo is already out there, and we've got Vince Vaughn. He's like a cameraman or something.
I was really expecting Vince Vaughn to suck in this movie because I had never seen this.
This was the height of Vince Vaughn, though. This is
right,
back before he was a caricature.
Yes, and he has a large height as well.
That's true.
Right.
It's very tall man.
I was surprised, and I thought how good he was in this.
Yeah, as Dan was saying, I think he was just like surprisingly calm, surprisingly underplayed.
Yeah,
I feel like
that's the word. Yeah.
He's right in between Trent from Swingers and Norman Bates in 1997.
Yeah,
and,
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I thought he was charming in this movie. I don't like that they made him sort of like a working man hero or something. A working class
he's
hero.
An environmentalist.
That part where fucking
and he was like he was the one to rally all the bad guys, man.
When Arliss Howard is like, "Come on, guys, let's as he twirls his mustache,
Howard.
"Let's go, let's move along here," and Vince Vaughn gets up, "Let's get the hell out of here," and they all go.
See, Arliss Howard's character is the reason why they killed off the lawyer, right? That's I feel like who the lawyer would have been had he stayed throughout the course of the first film.
It shouldn't have been Arliss Howard. Get me some Wallace Shawn. Get me some Bob Balaban.
Exactly.
You morons, get up now!
Why is Arliss Howard in this movie?
Because he was in Amistad.
But
was he a 2-for-1 deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But I mean, I like Arliss Howard, but I mean, if you're gonna get him, he's a good actor. I mean, he can do Nefarious, but we got to give him that British accent, which is just like taken out of some deep cut of David Niven from some '60s movie. I mean, it's terrible.
Listen,
if
you really need an Arliss in this movie, get Robert Wool.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Thank you.
Because I was waiting for you to
HBO jokes this episode.
Yeah. Who's gonna make our First and 10 reference?
Or John from Cincinnati.
Yeah. Tell me you love me. Let's go through the...
Guys, you really need to curb your enthusiasm on this.
That one's too big, man.
Oh, consider my enthusiasm properly curbed with response to this film in particular. Because, I feel like Ludlow... I don't know. I'm never a huge fan, maybe even going back to when you guys covered Iron Man and that series. I'm never a big fan of, like, when the villain is some man in a suit. Big business is the true villain. I just feel like it just doesn't really stick in this fantastical environment, considering they're in the jungle the entire time. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really stick for me until they end up coming back to the mainland proper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was boring to me. Honestly, you know what they should have done? I mean, like, I'm going to give Steven Spielberg advice, but I wouldn't have minded it if they conflated the Arliss Howard character with the Pete Postlethwaite character.
Yeah, with Tembo.
Yeah, and just had, like, the leader from this, like, InGen splinter group be
a poacher.
an uber competent poacher. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
What did you guys think about that? Because correct me if I'm wrong here. I believe in the book it was much like from the first film. It was a rival company that Tembo was representing. But now it's like, oh, InGen is also here doing something completely different because now Hammond has been displaced because he can't count to 4. He doesn't remember how many people died on his island.
I thought it was sloppy.
I thought it was needlessly confusing. One of the things I like about Jurassic Park is how clean it is. It's such a straight line from beginning to end of that movie. You always know exactly what the characters' objectives are, and in the Lost World there are just so many goddamn characters, and you don't know who to keep track of.
Yeah, like Peter Stormare's character. Why was he there?
I have no idea. Because they wanted him to get eaten by those little guys. Yeah. Which is a cute sequence, but you don't need Peter Stormare. He was like, I don't know. It was like Tony Shalhoub or something.
He was hot off of Fargo.
Yeah, I was gonna say a few years off of Fargo.
Yeah. I don't know. It took me a while in this movie to realize which characters I was supposed to be paying attention to. I think I was probably paying too much attention to Peter Stormare, honestly.
Well, the interesting thing about this as well is that, again, it has like a similar running time to Jurassic Park, but for some reason this movie drags so much more with me. Maybe it's because, as much as I said about how much I liked the Grant and kid stuff in the latter half of the film, they at least had the other stuff going on to sort of like pace it out. When the two groups merge in the second half of the film, I feel like then it's just them walking. They keep walking. The T-Rex comes. They keep walking. They find a radio station. They keep walking. They get back to San Diego, which I'm sure we're going to talk about. Yeah. It just felt like such a drudge.
It's like Lord of the Rings.
That I will take consternation with, but we can save that for another conversation.
Yeah. That's the Dan and I. What is that? That'll be our like calling card for the most contrarian opinion of.
Yeah, we're waiting to do Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, the franchise. Yeah, in solidarity. I have to say really quick, because it's on Mike's point. I did not find this movie to be a trudge until we get to San Diego. I liked it. I was in.
I will say, to Mike's point, I think part of the problem is the action sequences. And if you look at the first movie, there are these short bursts of action that are doing something very specific. So it's like, okay, the tree thing. That's like something's going wrong and we've got to get out of it. The T-Rex chase. The kitchen thing. Ellie running to turn the circuit breakers on. Climbing the fence. These are all like little bursts of action, whereas in the Lost World, there are these set pieces that go on fucking forever.
The one thing that went on way too long was the Richard Schiff saving the caravan.
Yeah, that goes on forever. The raptors chasing them through the weird samurai field goes on forever.
I didn't mind that.
Yeah, I don't know.
That at least had several set pieces to move between, quite literally, with all those buildings that sort of looked the same. I totally agree about the van sequence. And then you have, like, it's broken up by some quote-unquote comic relief when Richard Schiff comes in and he's like, how can I help you guys? Like, can we get a quarter pounder with cheese?
It's like, sucked.
I was waiting for the laugh track to come in.
And Vince Vaughn, onions on really mine. And Julianne Moore goes, I'll have an apple turnover. And it's like, shut the out of here.
Yeah, that was really bad. I don't know what. When they did that joke, I was thinking like, that's not David Koepp.
No, Bruce Valanche did an uncredited rewrite on this movie.
McDonald's is popular nowadays. We should have them talk about McDonald's.
Hey, plenty of McDonald's talking Batman and Robin.
Oh my God, and Amex talk.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't leave home without it. I hate that sequence with the van over the side. It doesn't work for me. There's the stupid lucky pack that saves people like 100 times in this movie is garbage. And look, I don't mind this movie either. It felt a little long, but it does have some nice moments. And Goldblum, the cast is so good. Richard Schiff, anytime he's on screen, I'm happy.
He's fantastic.
I love. Yeah. Again, it's just like these Toby from the West Wing-esque, like, under your breath one-liners, like when after they're in the high hide and they did, after sensing trouble, Malcolm decides to go back after Sarah, and he talks about like how to let go on the rope, and he just mutters like, "Oh, I would have gripped it a little harder if I was him." And it's just, it's sad that he was not long for this movie, because I would have loved some more Eddie, at least interacting with some of these other maroons in the other engine group.
His death is the best death in the movie, though. Yeah, that shot of him getting torn apart.
Oh, that was great.
That's
what I want from a dinosaur terror movie, and it did it. Finally, it's dark. It's a little gruesome.
Yeah,
I was in.
Henry, how'd you feel about Jeff Goldblum's daughter defeating the Raptors with her gymnastic skills?
It reminded me something out of one of the middle Friday the 13th movies, where somebody employs like a skill that's mentioned once in a barn, and takes out the enemy. Oh Lord!
Oh, I love that a fucking 12-year-old girl who apparently got cut from her school's gymnastics team.
How? What school is she going to?
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Why did this fucking visitor center have, like, uneven bars set up perfectly? I have no idea what was going on in that scene. And why did she need to do all those
though? I mean, because again, the kids in the first movie had their uses, especially Lex with the hacking. Now this kid needs her use.
But
you're right.
They set those kids up so perfectly. I'm not really sure what this girl's character. She has a lot of character traits.
She's very unnecessary. Yeah.
I mean, first thing that she is disobedient.
Sneak on board the plane?
Yeah, because I mean, he's like, well, how did you get here? And she's like, well, you told me not to come, so I thought you were hinting towards something. What?
Yeah.
This is a very pre-9/11 Jurassic Park movie.
That's how you can tell.
Yeah. Okay.
Should we talk about getting to San Diego?
Let's talk about San Diego.
Yeah, this was such a weird vestigial part of the movie. Did this even need to happen?
No.
Well,
I was happy on that island.
It was supposed to be in the third one, and Spielberg wanted to direct it, so they moved it to the second one. And I mean, does that account for why the third one is only 90 minutes long?
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
and it stays entirely on the island.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, never seen it. Okay.
It's a weird choice. This sequence is garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's so weird.
Yeah, I agree.
The kid waking up his parents to tell them there's a dinosaur in the backyard. Get out of here.
That's pure fucking Spielberg at his worst. And, as we've all discussed here, I mean, we all love Steven Spielberg, but that is just the shit that I can't stand.
But, T-Rexes, they cause a lot of ruckus. How did this thing get into the suburbs without no police being notified of there's a fucking dinosaur walking around our town?
Nobody sees him.
He's quiet. All he wants is to lap up some water and eat a dog.
I mean, if a fucking python gets loose somewhere, it makes the news.
It's true. Do you remember when the internet was freaking out about those goats what were they, alpacas that were in the middle of the road?
Oh yeah, that was the same day as the dress on the internet.
That's right. What a day! What a day that was.
Oh yes.
But the most interesting thing by far in this sequence to me was when the bus drove into the fake Blockbuster and we saw 3 parody film posters. It was Arnold Schwarzenegger in King Lear, Tsunami Sunrise with the aforementioned Tom Hanks, and Jack and the Beanstalks with Robin Williams.
Oh, that's the main one I noticed.
They missed the boat on that one, man. How was he not in that Bryan Singer Jack the Giant Slayer? I don't know, man. Those were interesting. But it was weird. You'd think they would just use other Universal movies. It seemed like something out of Last Action Hero or something.
Yeah, like a metaverse. Yeah.
I don't know what was going on in that sequence. There's a gas station ball floating around. I don't. He was having a real nice time.
They give it a look. They give it a look when it goes by. Like, that's the craziest thing they've seen.
Yeah.
And then Ludlow does, like, the least menacing chase sequence ever as it tries to run after the baby T-Rex.
Mm-hmm. That baby T-Rex. I love that little noise it makes when it's in trouble.
Yeah. That's another one of Dan's top 5 impressions.
Yep, I do an impression of a baby T-Rex. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what he was thinking with that movie, because that sequence, because it's obviously worse than Jurassic Park, but it's a pretty entertaining movie until it just goes completely off the rails. And
I liked it more.
That's insane.
I mean, yeah, I would
Henry.
definitely. I'm
not a fan, that big of a fan of the first one.
But
so.
you're a person that's seen movies.
Yeah, but this was more entertaining. It was more up my alley, man.
You're just jerking it over there to Giannis Kaminsky.
No, man. I just I had the preconceived notions that it was going to be a complete piece of shit.
Might be expectations playing a role here.
Oh, definitely, for sure. But and my expectations with Jurassic Park, the first one, were they were improved upon my recollections, but they weren't. I really was wanting to have them completely reassessed, like changed for the better, and they were marginally, and they I gave it my all, man. I really wanted to like fall into this. Well, I wouldn't even say clique of people, because everyone loves Jurassic Park. But it didn't happen for me. So watching 2 was, very entertaining.
It's tough for me because, like, I wasn't a huge fan of this movie, but I still might put it above the other 2. They're just that bad movies. Because
do you hate Jurassic World?
I'm not a fan of Jurassic World. I just found it, like, I guess I was entertained by it. I liked it better than Jurassic Park 3, but
yeah,
it just felt like too much of like a rehash. I like the idea of, like, they finally opened up the park for some reason, but maybe the IP had left Hammond's hands finally.
Only 3 people had died.
Yeah, but I feel like they didn't really do anything with it. I love Chris Pratt, but, like, it just didn't feel like they did anything. I want fun stuff.
Sometimes movies forget to make Chris Pratt funny, and it's a problem.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that's what Guardians does so well, is, like, you let Chris Pratt be Chris Pratt a little bit.
Yeah.
But it just felt like in this one, the first movie, it's full of so many fun moments from Ian Malcolm, especially. Even the dinosaur fucking sneezing in Lex's face is hysterical. Second movie, we talked about some of these lower key moments that are still funny. Third movie tried to go for that, I think, with the William H. Macy character, and I forget who plays his wife.
Taya Leone.
Yes. But I feel like the fourth movie, it just didn't go for that, and that disappointed me. So this might be a hot take, but this might be my second favorite Jurassic film movie by default.
It might. I mean, look, I don't think it's that hot a take. I've only seen World once, and I think I was drunk. But I'll rewatch it for the next week sober, obviously. And I feel like you can't really argue with calling this the second best Jurassic Park movie, because look, there's 2 of them directed by Steven Spielberg,
right?
One of the great filmmakers of all time. So it's got a leg up. I do think the script in Lost World is too cutesy by half. I think
that's so funny. I thought the script in the first one was too cutesy.
I don't.
That's what bothered me, I think, about it more than a lot of other things in the first one.
I also have a problem that Jeff Goldblum all of a sudden is like omniscient in this movie, and he predicts everything that's about to happen right before it does.
It's chaos theory.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, he acts like he's like an old hand at this Jurassic Park shit. He spent like a day and a half at Jurassic Park, half of it in the medical bay, and he doesn't know anything about dinosaurs.
That's Jeff Goldblum's, that's his MO, right? He's the same way in Independence Day. He's never experienced anything that's going to happen, but he calls every shot. So...
But that's a different character, Henry. David Levinson is very different from Ian Malcolm.
You know what I thought about when this was during and over? I thought, because Spielberg didn't like this movie either, so he says, or so I read that he says. I thought. What do you guys think of this? Do you think that this is like his Temple of Doom, like how he felt about Temple of Doom being the darker, too dark, follow up to his sunnier.
Yeah, I mean, it does have more blood. There's that. I like that moment where the blood rains down from the waterfall. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
the snake. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It is darker in both in look and in tone. And
I meant in tone.
Yeah, I know what you meant.
Yeah. I guess, like I said, I think it takes itself more seriously. I don't know. I feel like one of the problems, which was touched upon earlier, which I don't think Temple of Doom necessarily does, is that this really ballooned out this cast and added so many new characters that we really don't know and don't necessarily care about. I know Temple of Doom did that a little bit as well, but maybe the only parallel would be if Steven Spielberg was having sex with Julianne Moore and decided to cast her as the lead role.
If the cast of Julianne Moore is much better than Kate Capshaw at every level.
Yes. Yes.
I was if the cast of this movie was Jeff Goldblum, Julianne Moore, Richard Schiff, and Vince Vaughn on this island, and then like Pete Postlethwaite shows up with like that bearded guy or something, then I could get on board with this.
By the way, a quick question, a legit question. Did I miss, or was I correct in assuming that the character Pete Postlethwaite that he's playing, Roland, does he just kind of walk off the screen and that's it?
Yeah.
So he has a partner, yet another character that we lose track of, named AJ.
Yes.
And I guess AJ gets eaten at one point, and this makes Roland kind of like have a change of heart and realize that, why am I necessarily doing this? He has an earlier monologue in the film about how he's after like the thrill of the hunt and how this would be the most exciting moment in his life. And I guess he sort of has his own little weird arc where he realizes that that's not necessarily what he wants to do. And so when Ludlow finally captures the T-Rex, he just sort of hangs up his hat and walks begrudgingly to the chopper.
Yeah, that's another problem with this movie. It has a weird ecological message, which I don't need in my Jurassic Park movie. The first movie allows the dinosaurs to be monsters, which I love. And in the Lost World, I feel like we're never invited to want the humans are the bad guys in the Lost World.
That's very true.
Yes, that's a great
you're
point.
invited to think the dinosaurs are warm and cuddly, and everyone should just leave them alone.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the message consistently through the second film is they're not used to having humans around, so we shouldn't walk in their space and intrude, and that's exactly what they do. It's very akin to like in the 90s when everyone was going through that sort of ecological green phase of like with Fern Gully and Pocahontas of like, hey, we need to save the rainforest. Like it felt very part and parcel with that.
Now it's more like fuck the world, who cares what happens? So it would probably make more sense now.
It's true. Now we're at Geostorm. That's what we're doing.
Well.
All right. What do you give The Lost World, Mike?
I still think it has its redeeming moments, but definitely a big shot down from my 5 ranked Jurassic Park. This gets a 3 for me.
It's a solid 3 for me as well.
Me too.
Okay. Who's your MVP?
Ooh, I might have to go just because I thought Richard Schiff killed it at every point he was on screen, so I might have to go with Eddie. Was only in half of the film, but he might get my vote here.
Same here, man. I'm going Toby Ziegler.
I'm going Pete Postlethwaite.
Yeah,
I think that's fine.
He would have been my second contender.
Yeah,
he's great.
Late great Pete Postlethwaite.
My LVP was easy. Who was yours, Mike?
I think it has to be Kelly.
Right.
You Kelly, the daughter.
Oh wait, it's Kelly or Ludlow. Ooh, it's tough. You know what? I have to amend it. I dislike Ludlow much more. Kelly had her weird gymnastics moment, so I think I have to go with Ludlow here.
That's Arliss Howard's character.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's my LVP. Yeah.
Kelly doing gymnastics to defeat a raptor is one of the most impossibly bad scenes I've ever seen in a mainstream movie. And it's not even a bad movie. It's just so crazy. It's like it's like a bet someone made. I just have no idea why that's in this. It doesn't make any sense. It is badly shot. If you're gonna do that, maybe get a actress who can do gymnastics, but don't even bother. It's so crazy that that's in the movie. No, Kelly is the clear LVP for me.
Oh, all right. I got a quick superhero count of 3.
Okay.
Peter Stormare was in 3 animated things: The Batman versus Dracula, where he played Dracula.
Okay.
Wow.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Justice League cartoon, he played Mr. Freeze. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, he played Lord Breg, whoever that is.
Lord Dreg, he was the...
I can't read my writing.
Listen, they wrote Shredder out after season 8 of that animated series. And
Look at you.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And replaced him with a new villain, Lord Dreg. He was very important in the final 2 seasons of the Ninja Turtles animated series.
Now, I know it's not a superhero, but does his role in American Gods count, where he plays Chernobog?
That's a god. Oh, right! He's the Russian one with the big axe!
Yeah, with the sledgehammer.
Yeah, right. That's a great show, man.
Yeah, I love the book. The show is super interesting. I'm still trying to figure out whether or not it was good, but it was so much fun to watch from a visual perspective.
Well, yeah. Certainly from a visual perspective, it's insane. But I actually love the book, and I might be enjoying the TV show even more. How about that?
Ooh, wow, I like that.
Yeah.
He was also in the show Arrow. He plays Count Vertigo.
Yeah, that's a legit Green Arrow villain.
Okay. Next, we come to Richard Schiff, who was in Man of Steel, Dan's favorite superhero movie.
Oh, God.
And finally, he played like one of the professors trying to figure out Superman's superpowers and all that shit.
Sure.
And then finally, the character that we mentioned recently, AJ, Pete Postlethwaite's buddy who gets eaten off screen, played by an actor named Harvey Jason. This is interesting.
Don't trust them, 2 first names.
Yeah, right. He is an oldie. He was in the 70s Wonder Woman TV show and the Batman 60s TV show in a few different episodes, playing a character called Scudder.
Yeah.
Now, given the fact that he's Indian, I can only imagine that in the 60s Batman show, the character Scudder must have been a very racist character. That's all I can imagine.
Might be featured in a Hari Kondabolu documentary.
Right. That's all I got.
Yeah, all right. That's great. That covers us for the first 2 Jurassic Park movies. Come back next week. We'll be talking about Jurassic Park 3 and Jurassic World.